I am the smith, I feed my milk pot, fashion carbon steely blades, for cool to end the moldboard step and break the clod in forest glades. In sultry peace and blood-raised anger I hammer out my forging trade. Lockheed, Fokker, Curtis, Hawker, Avro, Gloucester, Henry Page, Colt, Beretta, Walter, Mauser, Springfield, Ruger in a rage. Holland, Holland, Boss and Purdy, Woodward, Greener, Golden Age. Every atom of the arsenal forged in distant dying sun, in unholy trinity now lends new form to plough and gun. Harry S. and Oppenheimer, Fermi, tell her what have you done? And did they pray that he may guide us in his ways now battle's won? Footsteps o'er the Doggerland chase retreating ice and snow, left us breathing high and dry, lands and the copper flow. The seeds of Albion wind blow free, scattered to the moors, dormant beneath the soggy sea, where stouter oaks will grow. The Doggerland, before the tides, across with boar and elk and wolves, take the highlands near and wide. Strike with rock and flint and bone, follow trail and hoof, onwards to another place, a place to raise a roof, and these four walls to shelter us upon this blessed plot. There's surface round the sinking ground, islands alone, aloof, all across the Doggerland, all across before the tides, across with boar and elk and wolves, take the highlands near and wide. Across the Doggerland, Costavilla overkill. Warm farmhouses in Tuscany challenge winter's will. We pensionable geriatric, sun-creased, wrinklies long. For this earth, this realm, this aching land, a burial ground to fill. All across the tides. Across with luggage, kids and sunscreen, melon mortgage, dreams that died. All across the Doggerland, all across before the tides. Across the Bore and Elder Woods, Gala Highlands, near and wide. I am the smith, I feed my melt pot, fashion carbon steely blades, for coulter and the mouldboard step and break the clod in forest glades. In sultry peace and blood-raised anger I hammer out my forging trade. Lockheed Fokker, Curtis Hawker, Avro Gloucester, Henry Page, Colt Beretta, Walter Mauser, Springfield Ruger in a rage. Holland, Boss and Purdy, Woodward, Greener, Golden Age. Every atom of the arsenal forged in distant dying sun, in unholy trinity now lends new form to plough and gun. Harry S. and Oppenheimer, Fermi, tell her what have you done? And did they pray that he may guide us in his ways now battles won?
Coming in. We Roman legions wend our way through ever-widening roads of empire. Along straight tracks to new horizons, gilded in soft-tinted campfire.
Old Corinium, Dubon, Norum, Guru, Burnham, Cantiocorum, bold Londinium offers voice in market square and open forum.
Saxons, Danes and Normans, on the whole a curve of learning. Alfie great in spirit battle, on Somerset levels left cakes of burning.
Willie come a work out in St Cleve marks our number.
Sheep and pigs amongst the hundreds, fat tithes and taxes to encumber.
Pizza Palace, Burger Kingdom, Cocaine Cola, nylon stockings, Playboy, Newsweek, Time and Life, G.I. Joe, Spam Fritter, shocking. Cold War sparring
Thomas Hips and Monroe Lips, John Birch against United Nations. Bubblegum and Google Bomb, Facebook frenzied social network. Apple, Mac, and iPhone app, Gibson, Fender, Sonic, fretwork. Star Trek, Baywatch, Friends, Sopranos, West Wing, Mad Men, Walking Dead. Officer Rick will turn the trick and banish zombies from our heads. The brash north wind strikes upon this high Lovelinda's tarn. I offered searching souls the wisdom of my years. These lessons written book of ages wholly past. The agony, the righteous path to steer between the waves. The dark abyss tied to the mast. This sponge of pragmatic Constantine mops them all up and wipes them clean. It's all okay, it's all official. The Christ child advent here to be seen. Saturn solstice, Yuletide blotted, blended and cynic innocence. Meet in Milan and host the party. Safer to sit astride the fence. What is this book, these airy pages? Scribe and scribbled with latitude. Tallest tales for poor and needy, in wide-eyed wonder at faith renewed. Words of gospel and redemption, absolution if we repent. Emperor's deathbed, late salvation, baptism in dubious testament. There's a boy and child time. There's a lingering deep end. There's a new age dawning here to an old English man. Manic mother, her child gone missing, found in the temple with the elder men. Gone about his father's business, yeah, but he soon goes missing once again. Dumped his head with the match on Hoppet, West Bank desert, doubts and fear. White magic, healing and exorcism. Got 12 good men, now the gang's all here. There's a wild child coming. There's an angry man. There's a new age dawning here to an old age friend. Proclamation, divine seed sown. Did he really say that thing? On donkey colt, come to the passion, knowing full well what the charge must bring. The body bread, a farewell supper, bounty silver, a kiss betrayed. It's a long, hard haul, that Via Dolorosa. No last contrition, quite unafraid. That's a wild child coming. There's a angry man. There's a new age dawning here to an old age man. There's a wild child coming. There's an angry man. There's a new age dawning here to an old age man. Mortar, bolt, and hood, and lace, come guide me in learning, in ascension, where minds may meet and twitters tweet in mortar Latin in declension. O Domine, O Magister, we aspiring angels sing, with one tongue forever young. In saintly word and perfect grammar, to academia's lofty space, the trivium, quadrivium, all pace of thoughts now to efface. O Domine, O Magister, we aspiring angels sing, with one tongue forever young. Let us follow better things.
Line's detention soon forgot. Oh, dog boy, this grammar school boy has paid the price and fought the law.
In the quiet hours of life's twilight, old school ties and photographs,
I call to mind the sorrow behind the tears, the last and longest loss.
desks and inkwells, darkened chapels, cobweb corridors silent now. Ghostly purple robes and dusty trencher, what could be holier than that? Oh, Domine, oh, Magister, ring the smiling angels sing, with one tongue forever young, let us follow with good things. Mary, a second, may we follow with good things. Go no farther, access denied, down byways, freeways of the past. The super highway told us humbly begs your pulse, so just hold fast.
A word in here, free marketeer, suggest you ponder and takes your choice.
A right to passage, freight or message, change your horses, raise your voice.
In protest at the pretty penny taken for your mortal sins.
But darling, now in sweet surrender, drown sorrow at the turnpike end. Beware the brigand, pistol drawn, who offers life for modest fee, and ends it pays like poor John Austin, last bed on the Tyburn tree.
The pale stale, the stoutest porter, fortified the heart, the breast.
A weary head on either pillow, horse blanket over down to rest.
The way to steal from honest wage, come lie with us, good kith and kin.
And darling, now in sweet surrender, drown sorrows at the turnpike inn. Drown sorrows at the turnpike inn. Drown your sorrows at the turnpike inn. Drown sorrows at the turnpike inn.
The way to steal from honest wage, come lie with us, good kith and kin.
Darling, now in sweet surrender, drown sorrows All along the new straight track we plough the old fields under. 7 good feet and a 1/4-inch broad rails to steal the thunder. 100 hooks and 36-cent nabbies to lead them acre. As Black Fox Hollow worms its way past the company undertaker. Our cast in iron, that engineer, God bless his embodied. Piston scraping, furnace busting, plays the winning card. Oh, a rain steam speed at Maidenhead, Turner's fish can wide. Over bridges, girders, hot-driven rivets safely guide. Passenger wagons from Paddington to Bristol's briny blue. On the brake, the waves with 1,000 horses turn the churning screw. Our casted iron, that engineer, God bless us in bard. Piston scraping, furnace busting, plays the winning chord. But those bonny lads from way up north had to have the final laugh. The right new age was the standard gauge, 4'8½". And rolling out across all Europe, across the mad empire world, came the age of steam and the engines roaring, bold praising Jack unfurled. Arching palaces at Praed Street stand lofty and serene, home to their maker and his last 2 miles to sleepy Kensal Green. Our cast in iron, that engineer, God bless us in bard. Piston scraping, furnace busting, plays the winning chord. Our cast in iron, that engineer, God bless us in bard. Piston scraping, furnace busting, plays the winning chord. Behest of Uncle Leo, did my best to charm and flatter, soothe my thoughts of scheming Saxon prince to rest. Just 17 you were, emboldened, turned away, plain orange boy, and made for me a concert haven in your heart haven of joy. Now empire spills a growing plot across the Atlas, leaves its mark. The hands of men in iron ships stoke their boilers, fan the spark. Generous indeed, and promise our emissaries make their trade, and pay with sovereign queenly coin for goods and worldly fortunes made. We will win them and contain them, not by Enfield pattern gun. No hard coercion, whip or stick, but 10 good shillings to be won. See, we offer contracts clear in English plain as it appears. In small print some trifling matters, not imported, never fear. Pax Britannica rolls the headland and the wave, and the spirit will enrich us, keep us from an early grave. Sweet Victoria, mother of England, gracious queen whom God will save. gifts of architecture, engineering, laws and more. The willow pad, the bowler hat of gentlemen who keep the score. Head up code of moral conduct, never minions to deceive. Straight the ball and best of all, when time has come we take our leave. Pax Britannica, rule the headland and the wave. Hands of spirit, will and pitchers keep us from an early grave. My sweet Victoria, your dearest Albert, 2 ledger lines above the stage. After battle with wounds to lick and bows and bells all reuniting, rationing austerity, it did us good after the fighting. Now time to bid some fond farewells and walk away from empires crumbling, post-war baby boom to fuel with post-Victorian half-dressed fumbling. I see a screen grey cathode tube in walnut cabinet, pride of place in holy family living room, clip tone and answer, powdered face. And now to mold public opinion, sanctify the good and great, a lordly gentler winds were blowing after these wars, when stocking tops were showing, when the co-op gave us daily bread, and penicillin raised the dead, and combine harvesters kept us fed. After these wars, we thanked the Yank and thanked the Lord for sparing us from dark invasion. Now to liberate, rebuild and balance Europe's new equation. Spooky spies in from the cold, with lies and secrets to be sold to bigger brothers, bigger bombs, le carre thrillers to be told. We take our place amongst those others who would punch above their weight, divest ourselves of glowing mantle of old Britain great. Big part cast in Hollywood, rival thespian tolerated, world-weary ham upon the stage, evergreen but overrated. After these wars, when gentler winds were blowing, after these wars, when stocking tops were showing, when the co-op gave us daily bread, and penicillin raised the dead, and combine harvesters kept us fed. After these wars, new blood, old veins, ringing in the new dawn. Like it, lump it, old chips with curry on. Let's get to it, Tempest food, find a cheap for coroner, affordable package tours for the land of Johnny Foreigner. New blood, old veins, kids can't wait to be gone. Next door, jealous neighbors peeping through the curtains drawn. Half-timbered Morris traveller, pop the luggage in the back. On the ferry, getting merry, bending over Builder's crack. Victorian piers and palisades, half the cost of candy floss, no more ginger beers or lemonades. Roll on, roll off, duty free over Calais. Wet the lid, but hefty soup, cheap brandy, jolly Beaujolais. Time to visit, fresher faces, don't be fearful, we'll join the clan.
Just be mindful of who's the master. Don't pinch the sunbed, understand.
We're going mental, continental, socks and sandals, never is guaranteed. Drink it down, throw it up, what needs red, just what I need. Not too hanky, wine too late, melanoma's such a pain. Not too far from hot Maluka to Luton Airport in the rain. I've started so I'll finish, I'm here so I'll stay. Dally with a little lady met along the way. Paying for a penny through the turnstile gate, searching for the mother road before it's too late. Barley grain sprouting spilled upon the ground, and the Mad Hatter getting fatter in for a pound. I'm the Mad Hatter getting fatter in for a pound. In for a pound. In for a pound. In for a pound. Exponential family planning, let me play the numbers game. Sign up for some benefits, get my dues and state the claim. Spill out to suburbia and spread onwards to the countrywide. And when the last card's taken, I'll spill out onto the other side. Yes, the browning of the green will be tight as can sardine. And let me to the right and the left of us, and all points in between. It's the browning of the green. Be fruitful, nothing to it, fill the earth, subdue it, multiply. It's written in that goodly book, so it's really best that I comply. Another baby booming blooper, imbecile fecundity. Another mouth, but what the hell? Child benefits, they come for free. It's the browning of the green, we'll be tight as can sardine. Let me to the right and the left of us, and all points in between. It's the browning of the green. Upon my knee, 6 or 7 might be nice. Come time to go with Daddy, find ourselves some open playground space on these concrete fields of England. This blessed round, this blessed place. It's the browning of the green, we'll be tired as can sardine. Lemmings to the right and the left of us, and all points in between. It's the browning of the green. Browning of the green, we'll be tight as can sardine. Lemmings to the right and the left of us, and all points in between. We thought it over for a century or two, considered all in light of such short history. Would you let them loose upon the stars, bring their dark and murky waters to lap on pristine shores? Fine in their own place, with their own destiny to follow, but breeding like rabbits on other worlds and with other calmer spirits?
Pararationes ad astra, then dream on. The dream is all good sense gone.
Neil, Buzz, and Michael, they made a team. The right stuff in a can of Spam. The brave adventure came to naught. Cruel economics had their say. A tiny bubble of pure white light from mighty engines roared on pad 39A in the night. Orbiters and Soyuz towered on stacks of LOX and hydrogen. But what a little squib, a little firework in the cosmic crash of fiery fusion as far galaxies collide. Drowned in the vastness of all we see and still can only imagine. Let's not worry about the wandering man. He'll wander hither if he can, but his time may have already come and gone. I don't mean to be a misery, but I have to tell you straight. There are zombies in the closet and they're not prepared to wait.
We are the tribe that eats itself and spits out another morsel thing.
And navigates this desert by a cold and reckoning. Does anybody have the chance to coordinate on maps? A hint of a direction to avoid further mishaps.
A throw of dice, a toss of coin decides what Mrs. Love might bring.
As we navigate this desert by a cold and reckoning. Away the beast and shine the face, this party is an open door.
All the world and all I'm joining, penitence and peace.
While we navigate this desert by a cold and reckoning. We placed our trust in sad self-doubting leaders who have read. Led us through the dark to slip amongst the ranks and files of walking dead.
Send was the tiny symbol, tiny bird upon the wing.
As we navigate this desert by a cold and reckoning. fail to fulfill the dream.
We'll test the guitars and we'll stick your reputation clean.
As we navigate this desert by a cold and reckoning, cheer up, Charlie, brave a smile, lift your chin and walk a walk. See angels watching over all, the snake, the dove, the circling hawk.
There must be another Eden future, another Eden light.
Next time, no fruit in birthday suit, walk naked through the heavenly night. As we navigate this desert by our cold dead reckoning.
Writing songs, for me, is a process that is filled with a terror, really, because you just never know. Is it going to happen for you that day? Is the muse going to visit? Will there be inspiration when you need it? And rather than wait for the muse to visit, sometimes you've got to go out and, on a blind date and meet them halfway and hope that they turn up. That's what I did at 9 a.m. on January the 1st in 2013. I set myself that target weeks, months before. That would be day one of starting work to write a new album. The process of making the demos occurred a couple of months later after I had everything roughed out. I then spent a week's vacation time in Barbados, sitting in my hotel room, because I don't like to go out, because I might run into other guests and holiday makers. So I hide in my air-conditioned room for a week, and between reading a book or listening to the BBC World Service on the radio, because there's no television in the room there, I would have my little laptop computer and the same recording software as we use for recording the full Monty in the studio. But I had that with me and made some relatively crude demos, just with a little bit of whisper quiet vocals. You can't really sing and play out loud if you're in a hotel room. You're gonna antagonize your next door neighbors above, below, and either side. So this was all done by strumming a little guitar, going and then sending it off as an email attachment to the guys in the band, and hoping they could make sense of it and begin to write out their initial sketches for the form of all the different elements of music, and at that stage lyrics too, since that was all 95% in place by that point.
Slightly, yeah.
And bringing the size.
Slightly, yeah, ever so slightly. And then obviously I still have vocals and stuff centrally, but it's
Bringing it back a bit.
and the keys you can move around. But I mean, I do have it. It's like
Jacko is a man who's worked on various remixes and remasters of things over the years for various artists, like King Crimson particularly, for Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and he was suggested as an alternative to Stephen Wilson, who was unable to work with us on this project due to a bout of overwork before Christmas, and so Jacko stepped into the breach and has been involved in the mixing of music that he's never heard until he got the master files, and so we spent some 10 days or so poring over all of that, sometimes with my going to his studio, sometimes and more often by firing back and forth 20-30 emails a day with various evolving incarnations of the mixing, so that at all stages I could have a little opportunity to say, change that, move that, do that. But, you have to trust a mixing engineer to follow his own nose and come up with his own essential way of reading that music and bringing it alive for an audience. So it's a good combination of work practice, of having input but not crowding somebody too much and stifling their own creativity.
Deliberately, when I remember sitting in the back of a van somewhere and trying to explain to Scott, our drummer, that how wanted this. So it was So we were busy tapping away on our knees in the back of a van, and then of course he thought he'd written it down, but then he'd lost it. So when we went in to start doing the rehearsal for this, he completely lost what it was about. And I was trying to remember what my reference was, because I hadn't bothered to write it down at the time. But it was actually came from a vague memory of a song called Click Clack by Captain Beefheart. I think on the Spotlight Kid album, 75-ish. And Artie Tripp, who was the drummer, was a trained percussionist originally, played with Zappa before he did a short stint with Captain Beefheart. And he came up with this quite interesting, slightly weird backbeat drum part for this song called Click Clack, which was kind of trains, and had that sort of feeling of, when you're going across the points or the joins in the line, and it sort of rhythmically is sometimes not quite where you expect it. And so that was my reference point. I was trying to explain this to Scott, and then it all came back to us, so we kind of nailed it. But we went through lots of permutations to find the best repeating pattern that didn't just repeat endlessly. It has variations, but just, I suppose we've got to make sure that somehow in all of this that we don't lose sight of where beat one is.
Yeah.
and I'm not sure whether just because of familiarity, whether I'm just sort of thinking, I know where it is, but because it's echoed in the vocals as well, which is new blood, old veins, da da dee dee da da dum, ba dum ba dum. So I'm not singing, I'm singing quaver after one. And that's so some people might just get off on the wrong foot. You know what I mean?
Thinking you're where you're singing is the downbeat.
So we just need to make sure that bass drum beat, which always tells us where one is, and I think that's just we're not going to lose it, but it's just, I think in your mind,
bear it in mind.
If you get confused about the rhythm of this, then the average listener is going to be at sea. So I don't know what it's probably just my fault. Too late to change.
One of the elements of the album, which clearly is set historically, but in near history, the time when I was a small child growing up, marked that point where people in my country, in Britain, began across the demographic divide to start to think about foreign travel, pretty much for the first time. Foreign travel had been the realm of opportunity for rich Victorians and other explorers who went off to do the sights of the world, but cost them an absolute fortune. And people began, particularly as the 60s dawned, to evaluate their holiday experience as a result of the package tour, the thing that was organised really where all they had to do was go to the travel agent, pay some money, and everything was taken care of. Spain, obviously a hugely popular resort for the Brits, France, other parts of near Europe, and that brought about not only a change in perception of how you should spend your holiday, but a change of perception about your neighbours, your people from other countries who spoke a different lingo, used a different currency, had different cultures and traditions. And I think it was quite an important time for British folks to realise that foreigners weren't just people that we were historically at war with. They were people who were literally our neighbours and with whom we had to begin that process of learning to share something of a common bond, which today, uneasy though that bond sometimes is a bond that is both economic and very much a cultural one with the countries of Europe and the UK, which of course plays its part in that bigger Europe. That's sort of what this album is about, really. It's about people going places, learning from the experience, evaluating something that you didn't know about before, and benefiting, hopefully, as a consequence. Making records whilst ideally it's about all being in one place at the same time and playing together and recording it, and miraculously it's all done in half a day, that idea works to an extent, and worked for us both on Thick as a Brick and with Homo Erraticus too. But the recording process, from a technical standpoint, does require that certain things are kept in isolation from an audio point of view. I mean, I can't sit in a room with a loud drummer playing, crash bang wallop and an open microphone and sing my part or play a flute, without it producing a pretty unsavory sonic result. So things like that have to be overdubbed, which is why we use multi-track recording, where we get all the main ingredients played pretty much live in the room, but as always, even though I may have rehearsed it singing and playing live with the band so they know what the whole song's about, when it comes to the actual real recording of my parts, it has to happen in isolation as an overdub.
It's kind of catchy. It's a sort of it starts off deliberately with a little nod and a wink to the beginning of Living in the Past for the bass intro. That's just thoughts that, I suppose, in a way, continuity is not a bad thing. If you
Okay, that bit.
New blood, old veins, ringing in the new dawn. Like it, lump it, old chips with curry on. Let's get to the Tempest Fugit, find a cheap the coroner, affordable package tours of the land of Johnny Foreigner. New blood, old veins, kids can't wait to be gone. Next door, jealous neighbors peeping through the curtains drawn. Half-timbered Morris traveller, pop the luggage in the back. On the ferry, getting merry, bending over Builder's Crack. Far beyond Victorian piers and palisades, half the toss, the candy floss, no more ginger beers or lemonades. Roll on, roll off, duty free over Calais. Wet the lid, but hefty sip, cheap brandy, Johnny Beaujolais. Time to visit fresher places. Don't be fearful, we'll join the clan. Just be mindful.
So, Ryan's in here, which you've got. We've just stopped it. We're going to mute my voice here, because that's a really guide voice for Ryan to learn the song and sing to. So he's got these two blocks at the end, where I don't think we need to. Well, we won't delete them, but just keep my bits muted while he's singing.
During rehearsals, I'm kind of on the case, standing out there with them all the time. We're a band or a unit as we would be on stage, and everybody's doing their bits kind of live during rehearsal. But in the recording process, I'm in the control room, and over the years, historically, they're sitting with an engineer or engineering and producing it alone on the case of more recent albums.
Time to visit fresher places. Don't be fearful, we'll join the clan. Just be mindful of who's the master. Don't pinch the sun, but understand. We're going mental, continental. Socks and sandals, peppers bar. Got a phrase book, boys a timeshare. Lessons in Spanish guitar.
Yeah, that's good.
Actually, we're going to record something.
Not only was Ryan not available to join in on the band photos, but he was not available to do his bit of vocal work on the album. So back in London, Ryan was in my son James's studio doing his vocal overdubs to the tracks that were sitting on James's computer in London. So Ryan went in to sing his bits, and again, they can be sent to me 10 minutes later by email attachment. And I can evaluate it and say, well, how about just changing that or do it this way? And so it can be quickly redone and resent.
Goodbye, Blackpool, going with sound is guaranteed. Drink it down, throw it up, but what needs red, just what I need. Knotted hanky worn too late, melanoma's such a pain. Not too far from hot Malaga to Luton Airport in the rain.
Good one. It sounded just one rocky moment right at the very beginning, but there's probably lots of takes, Scott.
I still haven't got a great bridge. Maybe I could just do the bridge a few times on my
You
own.
want to do a bridge on your own?
I'd like to do another one for that same very reason, to bridge, really.
Okay.
Okay, let's do it.
We had lots of thoughts about keyboards on this, and John did some very simple things which, you know, are quite atmospheric. It's not getting in the way musically or rhythmically, but he's got some really good little ideas. Two notes in the organ part. So I mean the whole of a verse is just two notes, and sometimes, you know, especially if you've got a classical training and you know all about music, it's tempting to get both hands on and there's big and rich chords, but you know John is very good at just realising sometimes less is more.
Yeah.
And of course I have to pay him less.
Paying by the note.
No, that's right. That's what we're doing wrong, isn't it? Down, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 4 and 5, 6 is that chord there.
Yeah.
Quaver after 4. And so Dave and John just alone on my count. 4, 5, 6. And you're bungan to play your part again. 1. Where are you now at quaver after 4? I mean, you're playing a beat 4 that's sustaining over that quaver push.
I'm playing a 4, 5, 6.
Okay, so just play me the against your chord that you just played that I said.
After 1, 2, 3, 4, and then play 4, 5, 6.
4, 5, 6. But I just want to, in my head, hear that chord. I was trying to give the guys the head in coming up with the essential parts, and quite often I don't really end up interfering very much at all. They've got all the chords, they've got the flow of the music and the basic arrangement. What they play, which inversion they play, what little additional, more decorative line they might introduce, you know, I like them to come up with their own ideas, and usually they have some ideas. But it's about working together, not just me with individuals, but collectively, because sometimes you got to stop and say, well, if I play this, how's that going to affect the bass line? How's that going to affect the guitar chord, which may be a different inversion of the same chord, but you might want to make sure deliberately you do that, or maybe you want to use the same inversion with the same root note in the same place at the bottom of the chord. You've got to make these choices. So everybody has to pay attention and work together and try to find the detail in the parts that makes most sense, not just for you as a player, but for the other people you're playing with.
Doesn't quite work. Let's leave it.
What, the blah blah blah?
Yeah.
It's, no.
I think it's better, and then lift it up just before.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
So we're going to do this bridge section.
Yeah, and at the very end, just maybe suggesting to add the organ, just an organ sustain chord underneath the piano arpeggio at the very end.
Mm-hmm.
As an option.
Well, yeah. Well, can we go for it now?
We can. Let's do the bridge again though. Okay. A bit more rocky in the bridge.
Brilliant.
And not quite so sustained underneath Florian's guitar.
Sounds good. Ready to roll?
Okay, Flo. I'm so glad you've got another one of those.
The people I'm working with now, I think, have the broad abilities from jazz through to classical music. None of them are actually what I would call from the folk tradition. None of them are really particularly into ethnic music, the broader and more historical cultural music of the world, which interests me a great deal as an acoustic musician. But from classical music to jazz and to rock, you know, they bring their own different ingredients into the mix, and they've all managed to cross boundaries in terms of their own playing style and hopefully their own developing interest in music, because for a couple of the guys to do something that's more of a rock album like this is not something that they've spent most of their lives doing up to this point. The good guys right now for me to work with, and they're free to move on and find new challenges in life as they turn up, and then, like people before them, they will have to be replaced. But it's not a callous and cold-hearted procedure, you know. It's the way things evolve. You don't necessarily get to work with the same team all the time, however much you might like them. Everybody's got to be feeling free that they do it because they want to do it, and it suits them for now. It's been a difficult journey to take, given that it has to be taken over a finite period of time. Moments when I get filled with self-doubt, not doubt in the other guy's performance, but, you know, in my own, and it's something you really have to work hard at. So getting to the end of it is a great feeling of relief, but there's also the buzz that comes a day or two later, or at most a week or two later, when you know the next thing you're going to do is actually perform this music live to an audience. And that's really what it's all about. Ultimately, it's about the personal communication of the music one-to-one in a real concert environment, and that's the payoff ultimately for all the hours, the days, the weeks of hard work in putting it all together. So end of a phase one, and a little hiatus before phase two, which is the bit where we get hot and sweaty.